Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gargoyles episode reviews. Today we're looking at Shadows of the Past. When Avalon sends the skiff, and Goliath, Elisa, Angela, and Bronx to the original site of Castle Wyvern in Scotland, Goliath is excited. He wants to show off his old home. But a storm is brewing, and not just the thunder and lightning kind. Strange things are happening. Goliath is hallucinating. Is it just old, painful memories surfacing, or are there other powers at work? This is the site of many deaths, after all, not the least of which are Hakon's and the captain of the guards. Does the residue of this destruction and despair pollute the region? Maybe the locals have a good reason to call this place haunted. Confused about why our protags are fighting villains in Scotland instead of NYC? Well, you better read or listen to the Avalon episode reviews. Spoilers of the 2020 moments. Info from Ask Greg is in the According to Greg Bits. Season 2, Episode 24, Shadows of the Past. And yes, I know I said I was only going to do like one-shots on these, but some of these I do enjoy, and so those get some extra attention. Reasons for existence. To establish that Avalon sends the protags where they need to be, to put Hakon and the captain to rest, to set the stage for vendetta, to further develop Angela's ability to help the team, to show the hate that is damaging the hater, to provide the power of prove the power of forgiveness. Main antagonist, Hakon, captain of the guard. Times, January, I don't know, 1996. Happy New Year. By the way, remember, each hour on Avalon is one day in the real world. So, Elisa has been gone from New York, and so is Goliath and Bronx, of course, for a long time. Like, at least a month, okay? At least. That's quite a lot to really play havoc with her life there. Like, paying her rent and all those bills and stuff, and then her family's going to be wondering where she is, and of course work is going to be losing their minds, and she's going to probably be losing her job. That's something that doesn't really get addressed much. I mean, they sort of do a passing little nod to it, and then she gets back and everything seems to be a-okay. So I really wish I had a job like that. Alright, anyway, locations. The original site of Castle Wyvern, Scotland. Shadows of the Past. Yep, surf's up. We got a big old breaker coming in and hitting some rock cliffs. Before we start, I just have to say, I will watch pretty much anything Clancy Brown is in. I grew up listening to his baritone as he played Lex Luthor, a favorite villain of mine. Then I watched him in the role of the enigmatic, unwitting antagonist, Brother Justin Crow in Carnival. He's basically why I watched that incomprehensible series. He's a pro at making every line foreboding. The man also looks fine in a minister's frock. So, it's no surprise that I enjoyed this episode, which is also kind of why it's getting a 2 review treatment. Dark and stormy night. Where were we? Right, in the middle of a storm, complete with 2 tornadoes, just off the coast of Scotland. Not just any coast either. Nope, it's the Castle Wyvern original site. Goliath, Elisa, Angela, and Bronx land the skiff in a cave. Problem is, the cave will fill when the tide rises, so the gang climbs to the top of the cliff. Everybody sit down, you're going to tip the skiff over. That thing is very shallow. Side note, Angela says it's always summer in Avalon. It must be the deep south. I guess the skiff is on its own there while it gets flooded. Goliath is thrilled to be, quote, home, but Elisa and Angela are exchanging glances that apparently mean they think he's nuts. Why? The poor guy hasn't seen his homeland in 1,000 years. I mean, give him some slack. Just act interested, guys. Now, we have my favorite scene of the episode. The lightning flashes and Castle Wyvern stands on the cliff once again. Just like new. Look at that. That's some fine art. And Goliath's expression is also priceless. Either he just saw the ghost of Castle Wyvern, or he realized he left the tub faucet running. In a blink, it's gone, and in its place is a giant bite taken out of the cliff. I don't know why, but I find this scene satisfying. The missing chunk of rock is, I guess, hanging under the castle atop the Erie building. It's that inverted mountain above the atrium, behind those beautiful vertical glass pieces at the top of the building. Hey, I made an Erie building out of Legos when I was a kid, so I know the architecture. Alright, and here's a picture of it. It's that one that we see every time in the opening with Xanatos and his chopper, one up there. Alright, see the rock chunk over here on the left by the chopper? I'm not sure why it was moved. Frankly, I actually think it's fake. I think maybe they attempted to move it, but then it's fake because look at how square these bits are, like very artificial looking. I mean, it's very artistic, very beautiful, but also artificial looking. Not at all as if they blasted it out. I don't even know how you would do that and keep it intact. I don't think there's a way to do that. Anyway, I think it's just aesthetic. Because again, the structural support needed for that useless bit of rock would be massive, and we don't see that. I mean, we've got enough problem just with this castle anyway up here. Granted, most of the weight is in the back, and this is kind of like the courtyard area up front. But all you have are these little fragile, spindly-looking little silver or white supports that seem to be more for the windows than anything else. So, like I say, I'm thinking this is artificial because we've also seen people fall through this back in City of Stone Part 4 and then end up in the atrium, which is under here. So you can't really fall from the Great Hall up here through solid rock. So that's my reasoning. Yeah, I am obsessed with the Erie building. All right, where were we? Wanting to have a scene with Team Xanthos at the Erie building, right? Well, that's where I was. I don't know about you. And here's Goliath's expression. This should be a meme. It really should. My expression when I realized this ep isn't going to have Team Xanthos in it. It looks pretty put out. Actually, we were in the middle of being shocked at seeing the castle back on the cliff. If it's not bad enough, Goliath hears his Angel of the Night's voice. Goliath, come to me. Look at this beautiful scene. The animation in this episode is wonderful. You've got the lightning behind him. You got rain around him. It's really, really amazing. Bronx howls. A lightning bolt strikes the lone tree in the area. The squad heads for cover in the caves. Which caves? The very caves that the Vikings camped in after they invaded Castle Wyvern. And these are the very caves that the Archmage lived under. Yes, there's a labyrinth under them. Not the kind with the Goblin King, sadly. That would make a fun crossover, though. Like, he could be one of the children of Oberon, like the Weird Sisters in Puck. Somebody needs to write that fanfic. Alright, I am still unsure of how far away these caves are supposed to be, because in Awakening, it looked like they were a bit far off from the castle, because it's where the Vikings and everybody went. And it's also where they had to go hunt the Archmage down in after he was exiled. So I wouldn't think they would exactly be just a couple feet under the castle. According to Greg, the axe here that Goliath finds in this green glowing cave, not sure why it's green glowing, should have been a mace. And it would have been the very mace that Hakon used to smash the clan. Elisa and Angela share looks of now what is he doing? Goliath gives a little recap about how he had to decide between getting revenge on Hakon and Captain and saving Catherine. Of course, he chose Cat, which in turn saved the eggs. Good karma. But G is still a bit miffed that he didn't get revenge. He clarifies that he didn't push them off the cliff. Voices echo that only G can hear. It was not supposed to be this way, from the captain of the guard. He's the one you want, from Hakon. Bronx growls. And now they're running through a doorway, ancient doorway-looking thing. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. They stop at a pillar that depicts the Archmage fighting the Gargoyles. A flash of a hallucination transforms the mage into Goliath, betraying his clan. Goliath is the only one who sees this. When the girls ask what he sees, he says old fears. That's interesting. Fears, meaning he was or is afraid of betraying his clan? It's not something I would have figured haunted him. I mean, why does he have any cause to fear that? Maybe it's just because he's a leader and loyalty is such a big thing for them? I don't know. The carving's on the fritz again as it changes. Elisa suggests they leave. Goliath agrees. He says the past is alive here. As they walk out, Goliath suddenly sees Elisa and Angela as Hakon and the captain. Cue evil laughter and tights. It's like they're going to start singing with Gaston any moment now. By reflex, he pins them to the wall. Only Bronx saves them. Oh, divide and conquer. Making the protag doubt his senses and sanity is a great villain tactic. Psychological warfare is powerful. So are illusions. Gotta say, that would be a little frightening for Elisa and Angela there. Goliath runs into the cave, yelling that he is dangerous. Demona's voice echoes, "Join me in the dark, Goliath. Don't abandon us." And there's a kind of transparent vision of her. Abandon us? Well, it takes one to know one. So is Demona behind all this? And then Othello and Desdemona appear beside her. That's convenient. I know this is a kind of a cool picture because you get to see Othello's armor, and it looks just like the part of Coldstone's armor. So you know that actually got revived with him. We see the guards' ghosts turn into Hakon and the captain. Or I guess, Demona could have added it because she knew what he looked like. Anyway, so they're doing all this, the ghosts? This is a ghost story. Oh, this is like that X-Files episode, How the Ghost Stole Christmas, that, by the way, had Ed Asner in it. It's one of my favorite episodes. But how do they know Othello and Desdemona, who are part of Coldstone, would provoke a big reaction in Goliath? A guess? Can they read his mind? Do they just put something out there, like some sort of fear toxin, and then his own mind takes over? Kind of like how Scarecrow functions in Batman. We're adding ghosts to the Gargoyle universe. I don't know how I feel about that. Next review, I'll go into my thoughts more. The voice draws Goliath deeper into the cave, into the labyrinth. Bronx, Elisa, and Angela follow. They point out that if he falls, he could die. And guess what happens? A flying Hakon charges him, and yep, he falls. Who you gonna call? Not Goliath. Halftime. Let me get this straight. Ghosts from 1,000 years ago are haunting the caves still, and have enough power to cause storms and illusions? Wow. This ep is interesting because we explore two things we don't see often: Goliath's fears and the afterlife. Goliath apparently feels some guilt that he abandoned his clan. After all, he flew off with Hudson to chase the Vikings. Of course, there was nothing he could have done to protect them. Oh, also, and this is something I brought up earlier, he had himself turned to stone, even though he knew there were a bunch of gargoyle eggs. He just dumped them off on the humans. The humans who, by the way, had not really been the greatest friends of gargoyles up to now. So maybe that's kind of coming back to haunt him after he saw what happened with the eggs. I mean, it was a good thing that happened with him, but after he maybe kind of realized that he should have been there to help them. If they hadn't left, the Vikings would have killed them too, but that's guilt for you. It rarely makes sense, and it doesn't do a thing for you unless you learn from it and move on. I'm assuming the ghost can sense his fears and are playing on them. As for the afterlife, we'll get into that more in the next half. This is the setup half of the episode, so it moves quickly. We're going to get a nice reveal at the end, I hope. Tune in next time for the conclusions of Shadows of the Past, when we learn the ghosts get their power. Goliath will find help from an unlikely source. Until then, remember, don't cross the streams. And I think Ghostbusters would maybe be a neat combo, neat crossover with Goliath and the gang. So, anyway, what'd you think of this episode so far? Did it kind of freak you out with all those hallucinations and stuff? So remember, you can comment here. You can comment on the blog. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for watching. And by the way, for comments, shout out to Greg XB, who loyally commented on so many of these posts and added a lot of content. So even if you don't read the posts, it would be good for you to just go there and read Greg's comments. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.